Top of mind for anyone traveling is always safety. If you're going to go to Papua New Guinea and you're going to go on the Kokoda Trail, then you've got to think safety when you're choosing who's going to be your guides, who's going to be making the arrangements, who's going to be preparing the food, who's going to help you out if something, unfortunately, goes awry. Getaway trekking was fantastic. They really got that we are avoiding any notion of trespassing, that we are guests and we need to be good guests because they've worked really hard with the indigenous peoples to ensure that as we went through villages that they were able to be good hosts. So that respect was also reflected in how they educated us, that the stories they told us when we stopped at times and learned of local history, that it wasn't just about the war.
Lawrence, give me.
Lawrence.
It was about the people who call this place home 365 days of the year. I would say my favorite part was the emotional experience. It was also the most difficult because at times I was angry or I was surprised or I was on the brink of tears. But it was the emotional recurrence that really hit me.
Australians mean so much more to me than they did 10 days ago, and they meant a lot to me 10 days ago. And I can't stand with you at Kokoda by the courage sign or by the pillar that says strength or by the one that says endurance. But to a person, you've let me stand by the pillar that says mateship, and that means the world to me.
But right close to that is the knowledge you're constantly absorbing, that you're actually standing in overgrowth as the battles were fought in overgrowth. The sites, many of them were as it would have been then because nature has reclaimed the land as it owned it then. So knowledge, but also the heart-rending emotion that one felt. Those were the two highlights. I think the inspiration to write about one's journey is something that many people feel, and quite often it's to do a blog posting, or it can maybe be a magazine article. It takes a rare journey to sustain a book-length treatment by a writer. And being familiar through having written other books, I didn't know whether or not the Kokoda Track was going to deliver up an experience that was book length in terms of a travel narrative with the memoir, with biography, with lots of other factoids that didn't sound like somebody was telling you, gee, here's my journal, and this is sort of the itinerary we followed, and by the way, here are a handful of factoids. It needs to be a book length treatment that one's journey is filled with incidents and anecdotes and personalities.
Right back! Spot time!
As well as all of the learnings. And what I found when I had returned and spent some months thinking about the Kokoda experience that I had enjoyed and that startled me at times, I began writing, not knowing if it was going to be book length, but realizing as I got into it, there's an important story here to tell. My job is to tell it well. I would say to Getaway Trekking that from the start, our first inquiry, which my mate Monk made on recommendation of someone else who had trekked with him and said, these are the ones to use, that we really got involved right away and felt, gosh, here's training, here's preparation. From day one, we knew their expectations of us and that they wanted us to meet those expectations. So that was all terrific, and I thank them for that. But I mean, nothing replaces the sense of safety and comradeship.
Not so fast. Take it easy. No race.
Companionship that I think each of us on the trek felt time and again, day in, day out, when we were exhausted, when we were exhilarated, and knew that we had to make it happen. And they guided us through that. It was wonderful.